I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And we're about to do some Gojira!
Flying whales. This one we're...
Flying whales.
Very interesting theme.
Interesting title for a song. I'm actually pretty interested to see
why everybody wants us to do this one.
Yeah. Everybody wants us to do flying whales, so we're gonna do flying whales from Gojira. What do you people were like, oh, you thought heaviest matter was the heaviest. Try flying whales. What do you think? Do you think it's gonna be heavier than heaviest matter in the universe?
Just going by the title, it doesn't sound like it would be. It just sounds like it would be.
Well, whales are heavy, but if they're flying, they can't be that heavy.
Right.
How can they be that heavy if they're flying? Allahu Akbar.
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar.
I don't know.
Okay. So, let's check it out. Gojira, flying... Well, I was about to say heaviest matter in the universe.
No, flying whales.
Flying whales. Let's do it. Whales.
I actually like that. The sounds.
Is this a lyric video?
Supposed to be.
These guys are so different.
I like this.
Let's include whale sounds within our intro. that was the weirdest heavy riff selection I've heard in my life. You know, like a lot of these bands, you know, I was talking about how Megadeth, like how Metallica stole the Dave Mustaine riff, and a lot of people in the comment section would be like, all these bands are borrowing from each other. That riff, like the main one that they were using,
Super unique.
Was super unique. It was heavy, but it was like it wasn't a recycled riff. That was like a heavy riff. You look bothered or troubled or something.
I'm just like, the fuck are we talking about? What do you mean there's flying whales? Like, I'm still confused. I thought the song was gonna clarify that.
What do you mean? So
I don't know what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm totally confused. Like, what in the actual? I don't know if somebody. I don't know. Okay, I liked the beginning, and I loved the sounds of I'm assuming a whale mixed into there. I thought that was really cool. When I was growing up, they took was one of those youth things that I had gone to. They kind of showed us where they took sounds from different animals, and they used only the sounds from the animals, and then they kept like kind of stacking them on top of each other to make like this really, really cool song. And then eventually they added in human voices, but I'll post that link in the description. But I always thought that was like unbelievable. I was like, this is crazy. Like, what is it that God hears? So, because we don't hear everything. So I thought that was beautifully done. Musically, I thought it was really interesting. I liked the switches. I liked the stuff. There was one part in it I thought was a little repetitive, kind of boring-ish. But the lyrics, I was like, what is going on here?
You seem like more and more upset.
Yes, because I was like, well, tell me what this is. I was like getting annoyed. Yeah, I really wanted to know what is going on.
The water of chaos has invaded all space. The flood on Earth again.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So what do you got?
Well, I mean,
so I have a couple theories about this. I have a couple theories about this song, but just go ahead.
I don't know. I mean, water of it sounds like there's like another. Obviously, he says again, there's another flood. I mean, I don't know. Is this supposed to be a future event? Is it?
Well, so the name.
Yeah, I'm annoyed that I can't figure it out. Like I'm very confused.
Well, it's a tricky. Well, I think this record is a concept record, and much like the Opeth record. Remember when we were listening to that Opeth song, and I'm like, I think this is a concept album, so like we're listening in the middle, so there's things that we're missing.
Yeah.
I think I think that's probably some of what's going on here.
Okay.
And I think there's like a science fiction-y theme to what they're doing. Because remember, Heaviest Matter in the Universe was like the guy's flying into what we theorize as a black hole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I have a couple theories about what's going on here, because I think he's combining two themes that are, if he's doing that, are extremely interesting. But just tell me what tell me what you got.
I don't understand why he used flying whales, because to me whales are ugly.
Yeah.
And so flying whales, it doesn't make me think of anything artistic. It just sounds. I just can't.
Well, I don't think he's trying to, like, when you say artistic, what are you talking about?
Visually, what you picture when you picture a flying whale, it's like a blimp. I mean, does anybody like, wow, look at that beautiful blimp going by? You know what I'm saying?
But
so it's like, I don't know. I can't figure out what the song is about.
Yeah, but what kind of circumstance do you have to be in the physical world where the whales are flying?
Well, the whales are either flying or you're underwater and you can breathe under there.
Because he says, beneath the sea, I search. And had a different view.
I don't know, for some reason the whale is giving him some sort of direction.
Yeah, the whale is like guiding him out of, because it says, I have to find the whale that once guides us to dry lands of life. So the whale in this piece of particular literature are like these almost, divine beings that guided us out of the waters of chaos.
You know what's interesting? You remember the story of Jonah? Oh wait, was this one of your theories?
Go ahead. Go for it!
All right. So Jonah was this guy, another Bible story, and God told him to go tell the city that they had to repent. What were they doing? They were very, very violent people.
They were brutal. They were violent.
Terrible.
They were violent people.
He was telling him, you have to stop doing this. Well, the guy, he hated those people, and he didn't really want them to.
For good reason.
Yeah, but he didn't want them to turn from what they were doing and follow God. So he was like, instead of like going where God told him to go, he like took a ship and went the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And while he's in the ship and he's sailing away, like all of a sudden this big bad storm comes and everybody's like, oh my gosh, like somebody has angered their God in this boat. And so they were trying to figure out which God was angered, what was actually happening. Finally, the guy Jonah says, "It's me. I'm." What does he say? What did he say at that part?
He basically said, it's me, my God's angry at me, and basically I'm not going to listen to what he has to say, so just throw me over the boat. Basically, like, I'd rather die than go talk to those people.
So,
fuck those people. Basically.
They were like, at first they were like, nah, but then, it was getting pretty terrifying, so they were like, all right. So they tossed him in. As soon as they did, whew, the water gets calm. Well then, the Bible says that this huge fish, or some people call it a whale, came and swallowed him up. There's theory that he died in there, and then he came alive when he got spit out. Anyway, he ended up getting spit out onto the ground, onto the land, the dry land. And then he goes and he talks to the people. He ends up doing this half-assed job of telling them to repent, but they did, and God spared the city. So, but I don't know. I mean, the whale was in that story was something that was directional and brought him to where he needed to be.
Well, yeah, and the first stanza here, it's the waters of chaos.
And he says when he's sinking, like he was basically saying like everything, the seaweed was coming around and everything was closing over him, and it sounds like a chaotic scene when he describes what was happening with him.
Well, it's in ancient Near Eastern literature, and you find this in the Enuma Elish and other pieces of ancient Near Eastern literature. It's this concept that the world started in the waters of chaos.
Yeah.
And it's the whole concept of order and chaos kind of being married together, and how you do that. And the Bible starts that way.
Yeah.
The earth was without I think it's tohu lavohu is Greek, Hebrew, but it was without form and void. And then God comes and separates the waters from the waters. Like he brings order out of the chaos of the waters of chaos.
Yeah.
And all through the Bible, water is the symbology of water. A lot of times, like the sea and things like that, the raging sea is a picture of chaos. And so at the end of the book in Revelation, there's this weird line that not a lot of people understand. It says there was no more sea, and a lot of people really don't understand what that means in the book of Revelation. It doesn't mean what it means is the sea, which was representative of chaos in the Hebrew mind.
That's very interesting.
It's basically saying there's gonna be a time when there's no more chaos, but there'll be order. And so the whale kind of what's the most powerful creature in the ocean?
I mean, I'm guessing you're thinking it's the whale.
It's a whale, right?
I mean, I know I think that's the biggest.
Well, yeah, he's the most powerful. I mean, a blue whale is like this gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think in this story, the whale is guiding the protagonist out of the waters of chaos. But there's some sort of situation where human beings are basically now living underwater.
Yeah.
And they need whales to kind of guide them out, because, I mean, if you're stuck in an Aquarian situation, well, then who's going to be the god that guides you out of there? Well, it would be the whales. So the whales kind of like get deified. So like he's kind of like underwater and he's looking up, and the whales are like, swimming and stuff, and it looks like they're flying, right? They're in the sky.
Yeah.
Because you're from the perspective of looking up, right? Here's another interesting.
But it says,
go ahead.
Beneath the seas I searched and had a different view of us on earth, the sinking ship of men, but it's beyond the stars.
I found the place where they were, and they finally came to light. I think he's, again, talking about the whales.
I don't think it sounds like he's in the ocean. I think it sounds like he thinks that beyond... You remember that verse? If somebody, let's say somebody confuses it. Remember when God was talking about like how he created everything, and then it says that he separated the firmament from the firmament? It was like water below
the waters from the waters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The waters from the waters.
Yeah.
So if somebody has that verse in their head, and they're like, well, if he separated waters from waters, and they don't realize that those waters actually came down in the flood, then they might think that there's a whole friggin' ocean up there above the stars.
Well, I still think that the guy's underwater.
Yeah, underwater, but above the stars.
Well, yeah. How's that different?
Oh, I thought you meant like in the ocean. You could walk over there and that's where he's talking about.
No, he's looking up and he's seeing these whales.
Yeah, but you're saying he sees the whales above him because he's deep in the water, the whales are above him in the water?
Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if the waters are separated, you have the water that's on the earth, and then you had water up in the sky. So there's like all the sky, and then water, and whales.
No, I don't think that's... No.
He says above the stars. Why would he say above the stars?
You know what I think? You know what I think's happening? Think about it. In what situation would mankind be like underwater in the first freaking place? If I'm going back to the science fiction angle of the guy, you know, the other guy was flying into a black hole.
Yeah.
So this is a world of science fiction. So I'm thinking in this world, the entire the Earth is flooded, and we're basically living underwater. So what's the solution? We got to get the hell out of Earth now. We got to go somewhere else.
No, waters of chaos have invaded all space.
Yeah, the flood on Earth again. So he has to find the whales. And now, look, he says, beneath the seas I searched, and I had a different view. The sinking ship of men. So everything's screwed up on the Earth, but it's beyond the stars. I found the place where they were. So he's saying there's some place beyond the stars where we can go that isn't as screwed up as Earth.
Where are the
is.
stars in your theory? If he's under the ocean.
It's above everything. What are you talking about? Where are the stars? Are you honestly saying that the firm, like he's thinking about Genesis 1 in here?
No, I think that what he's saying is that it's beyond all of it, and everything is like filled up with this water, and it's beyond the stars and everything, and they're gonna lead us to this whole other world, way over. But it sounds like you're talking about.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
He's
What
in
you
the
just
bottom
said,
of the
I agree.
friggin' Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, I think he's underwater and he's looking up. That's what I think.
Yes, but what water is he under the Pacific Ocean?
The whole freaking Earth is.
The Earth in all space, it says.
No, the chaos has invaded space. The point is.
No,
that's what it says.
Water of chaos have invaded all space. Water.
Okay. I don't know where we're miscommunicating here. But what I'm saying is, I think we're saying the same thing.
I don't think we are.
The guy's underwater, he's looking up, he's looking for the flying whales to guide him out of the Earth because the Earth was fucked up because it's flooded the water.
It's not just the Earth that is, the space around it, and I think he wants to be led to another world. He's going to leave Earth, go through space, past the stars, and the whales are going to guide him to the dry land.
Right, that's fine. I'm agreeing with you. I agree. Here's the thing, though. This band is from France.
Yeah.
Do you know who else was from France?
Who?
I've talked about him a few times. The big homie Voltaire.
Okay.
So Voltaire, this is another one of my AP English assignments. Voltaire wrote this little book called like Micro Mega or something like that.
Okay.
And you know what else is interesting? I just realized they've got you know what the title of this record is?
What?
I think it's like From Mars to Sirius. Sirius is like a star. Okay, now watch this. Okay, so
my theory.
This book, we share the same theory. So this book, right? From it's called Micro Megas from Voltaire. I'm like calling on myself from high school here. And so this is what happened. It was this guy from Sirius.
Okay.
But they were giants. Okay. And then his buddy was from Saturn. So you had the Sirian from Sirius, and then you had the Saturnian. And they went down to the Earth, but they were giants. So they thought everything was that Earth was uninhabitable because it was so small.
That's cute. Okay.
And literally, that's what they did. They laughed like, "Look at this little place." Well, one of them, I think it was the Syrian, in his fingernail, he caught a living being in his little fingernail.
Okay.
And that's what proved that there was life on Earth. You know what the little living being was in his fingernail? What? Guess.
A whale.
A whale.
Stop it!
Yeah. Yeah. And so whale, basically, these guys said, well, shit, there's living beings on this planet here. You know, and it was basically, Voltaire was basically talking about like the point was like the insignificance of human beings. Like, you guys are so insignificant that the biggest thing on your planet is this thing that fits in the fingernail of the Saturnanian or whatever it is, right? So Voltaire wrote that. He's French.
So wait, what
And
was
it was the
what
guy
was he extrapolating from that? That life is meaningless?
Well,
or
it's-
that
it's-
life is full of meaning?
it's Voltaire.
Because even in the smallest
No,
thing.
it's Voltaire. It's life is meaningless. It's
Are you
Voltaire.
serious?
Yeah, I don't talk to you a lot about Voltaire because I don't want you to drive off a bridge or something. But yeah, I mean,
I would just disagree with him.
well, he was a pretty convincing writer. Okay, so my point.
Why do you think so highly of me?
My point. No, it's just you're just very emotional
I
and stuff
know.
resonates with you. No, okay. So as I'm listening, I'm like, oh shit! Like they're from France. Voltaire's from France. Voltaire wrote about this guy from the Sirius.
Yeah.
Okay, from Mars to Sirius.
And it's a whale.
It's a whale, right? And he's talking about beneath the seas I surged and had a different view on Earth, the sinking ship of man. Which like is sort of Voltaire's sort of like what do you call it? His nihilistic view of the world and humanity. It was just a sinking ship, right? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That humanity is a sinking ship, and our only saving grace in the story was this whale, right? Was this whale that fit basically in the fingertip of the Saturnian and the Syrian, right? So. But here's what he does something different with it, because Voltaire's point was basically a critique of Western culture and humanity in general, basically saying you're so important, you're not important, you wouldn't even fit in this guy's little fingernail. What he does with it is to say, he then deifies the whale, this guy, and says the whale can carry us to some other place where we could start over and actually be significant and create meaning to life. And so the flying whales are actually super important, right? Biblically speaking, there's theories that Leviathan is a whale. So Leviathan, when he's described in Job, he was like one of the first. And if you're looking back about Waters of Chaos, he was one of the first creations. It says in intertestamental literature that God created Leviathan first in the water. So he was the first being to inhabit the waters of chaos. So the whale is in ancient Near Eastern thought as well. I mean, all over the world, whales have like occupied a very, very important role in mythology because they're so huge. Just like a lion.
I feel like I've never heard that. Have you told me that before?
No.
Okay, I'm like, I've literally never heard this before.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like lions, there's a ton of mythology around lions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, even the Bible.
Yeah, but all that makes sense to me because it's like either powerful, but like a whale just looks like a big blubbery.
Well, I mean, think about it. Moby Dick is one of the most, it's a classic work of literature. And the point of Moby Dick was it was like the ultimate contest of man versus beast, because the sea or the ocean was the whale's sort of territory, and man was like, okay, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win this contest, this battle of whales? So if you're if you're an oceanic person, like that becomes very important all of a sudden. But if you're bound to the land, then the lion becomes important. So if you're coming from that perspective, of course, the Israelites were not seafaring people. As a matter of fact, all the bad guys came from out of the sea in Hebrew thought, right? And the bad guys that came from the sea, or they came from up there, right? Because they didn't do the sea thing, right? So then they were land. So then you get metaphors of lambs and lions and goats and things like that.
Yeah.
And so you're raised in a Christian context, so there's not a lot of stuff. Leviathan is mentioned kind of like offhand in Job.
That's why we root for the team we root for, because they come from where we are.
Right, you come from where you are, right? So you're Team Bible, so your set of imagery is going to be landborn animals, right? But if you were like, in an Akkadian context, you'd have a bunch of. I completely
agree with that. I never thought of that before, but that's absolutely right.
I think these guys are influenced by Voltaire, and I think it's like, we ruined the planet. Like we put our, I don't know, the polar ice caps melted, whatever. And now we're living underwater, and we had to figure out how to live underwater, and this sucks because we were born not to live underwater, so we got to get out of here.
I can't believe my eyes, but it's true.
Yeah. But then he sees the whales, and the whales are basically the salvation, and there you see the light again, and which was what happened with the black hole. So it's like one of the themes of this. We saw this two or three. Well, we saw the heaviest matter in the universe. We saw the art of dying, and then we saw this.
Yeah.
And at the end, he's always going into some light.
Yeah.
So he went into the black hole. He was light, and there was love, and then he was dying, and then he was going into the light. And now here, and he's going into the light again. It's all about like escape, but it's the science fiction motif, it's a in regular rock and roll, you're gonna say my life is screwed up and I wish I found a way to make it better, or everything's fucked up and I wish I found a way to make it better. But this is
sometimes there's two ways of escape. Like he's saying, we're gonna escape to something better, but then some of them it just seems like, oh, we're just gonna die here and
I'm gonna jump off a bridge. Yeah, but this, it's like it's combining all these different like motifs and imageries to say,
I won't despair. I'll break this dark all around.
Right? Yeah. I'm gonna hitch onto this whale. Like there's a way out. And initially it sounds dumb. Oh, flying whales.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm coming to terms with it now. I'm like, oh. Okay.
But if the Israelites, because we're Bible people, if the Israelites were like major seafaring people, you would have got a lot more about whales. And the one time an Israelite actually took to the sea, a whale was
what helped him.
Was front and center, right?
Interesting.
So you instead of Jesus being the lion of the tribe of Judah, he would have been the whale of the tribe of Judah, and that would have sounded it would have made complete sense to you, and it wouldn't have sounded stupid. Now it sounds dumb. Jesus is the whale of the tribe of Judah.
I know.
That's stupid. But if a whale and a lion got in a fight, like who would win?
I guess it depends on if they were in the water or the land.
Exactly. Exactly. So you do see, like in the Psalms, where it basically Yahweh is like basically playing in the ocean with Leviathan.
Yes.
And so Leviathan was this sort of creature who was like the god of the sea monster of chaos. So you had the waters of chaos, and then you had this being who ruled the waters of chaos. That's Leviathan. And Baal is one of the pagan gods. He kind of has to wrestle with Leviathan, and he's engaged in this conflict with Leviathan.
Who?
Baal, B-A-A-L. But Yahweh is kind of like playing with him. And, hey, Leviathan.
Isn't that why it says that he created him?
Well, yeah, to play in the sea. Yeah. And it's sort of saying basically the Hebrews are saying we don't really do the ocean thing a lot, but Yahweh does, and he plays around with Leviathan, and that's as much as we'll see. But we're not going out into the ocean though.
Stay right here.
So on the one hand they're like, oh yeah, Yahweh plays with Leviathan. On the other hand they're like, oh good, but you should play in the ocean too. Nah, we're good with our sheep and all that. Because they'd mastered, being on land born and all that other good stuff. So anyway, the point is it's a very, they dwell in light. Over the winds, they dwell in light, fly. And he's basically hitching on to basically one of the fins / and then he's flying off to a different place where we didn't ruin everything. Because mankind is basically a sinking ship. We fucked everything up, and he says the flood on earth again. Yeah. Which refers back to which we know in Genesis. What's interesting is that when God creates everything, he says everything is good. Yep. Except when he separated the waters from the waters, he never says that's good. No. And the reason is 5 chapters later in Genesis 6, when he floods the world,
waters come down.
He sends those waters. So he knows that he's going to flood the earth with those waters. So he skips that day and doesn't call it good.
I'm not going to call this good.
He doesn't call that good because he knows what's coming, right? So it's really basically what happens in Genesis 6 with the flood when God flooded the earth is he is the organizing principle that holds back the waters of chaos. And what he did basically in the flood, where people go, oh, God's in the flood, is God was basically saying, okay, humanity, you guys think that, I'm not important, you don't want to worship me, it's cool, like, I'm not going to beg you for worship. I'm going to show you what happens when I pull back. I'm just going to pull back for 1 second and let chaos ensue. And I think that I think there's a big lesson to learn in that from our perspective, and it's funny, like global warming and ice caps melting and how Christians respond to that stuff. They go, global warming. Ah! Like Christians are so against like taking care of the earth and taking care of the planet. And all they want to do is just like, oh yeah, let's send those fumes up there. That's ridiculous. I read Revelation. I know how the world, of course, in Revelation,
I was just thinking that.
Go for it.
It says that in Revelation that he will destroy the destroyers of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. It says he'll destroy the destroyers of the earth. So then here you have
quick
these...
to point out other people's things.
Here you have these...
You, sir, that are not recycling.
Well, this is the confluence of capitalism and Christianity, but you know, you have these, like, here are these scientists who are scared to death, and they're saying, hey, we're all gonna drown in this guy's song here if we don't figure this out. And Christian's like, this is dumb. I read Revelation. Yeah, Revelation's trying to warn you, stop being a destroyer of the earth.
Right.
And the way he's going to destroy you is all he's going to do is going to let you, he's going to pull back and let you fuck everything up, and you're going to drown in your own pollution.
Let your consequences finally catch up to you.
Yeah, like a lot of God's judgment is a lot of times is not God like, I'm going to do something. A lot of times it's like, you don't know like how...
What he's holding back.
Yeah, like what he's been holding back, whether it's societal waters of chaos or like your own internal waters of chaos or financial waters of chaos, or when you think about like the economic bubble that burst in 2008, like there's stuff in the Bible that says don't be dumb with your money, don't be an idiot with your money, and so there's all these things where like God is holding back all this chaos and saying this is how you order your life. And so when human beings go, nah, we got this, eventually God says, okay, you got it, go for it, and then all the waters of chaos hit, and then people go, where's your God? No, where's your God?
Yeah.
But yeah, and so his solution is to, now here's the crazy thing, right? So let's say, let's say that this works, right? Let's say you hitch on to one of these flying whales, and I'm not gonna mock that idea because it's art, right? So he's,
Yeah.
But let's say we were to hitch off and go past Sirius and like set up a new. A new humanity or whatever on this other planet. How long would it take for us to fuck that place up?
But if we don't change our mindsets, we'd just do the same thing again.
Like one of our criticisms of metal is that they're excellent at pointing out the problem. But
we need solutions.
But here he's got a solution. The solution is let's get the hell out of here and start over.
But that's not a solution.
Well, it is a solution.
It's just temporary and putting off the inevitable.
Well, that's our criticism, but it's still a solution. We're making that criticism, but it's still a solution.
Well, at least he's saying let's go somewhere. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, he's saying this is a solution. Yeah. Let's go off somewhere and start over, right? And you're saying, well, it's not practical, or it's not a real solution. And I'm saying, hey, like how long would it take for us to like finally learn our lesson? Let's say that we hit Sirius and we made it.
You know what's crazy? Is the Bible says you're supposed to love your neighbor like you love yourself, and your neighbor is anybody. It's all the people that surround us. Like if we literally loved our neighbor as ourselves, that would be so much simpler than hitching up to a whale and going off to some unknown land. It's so simple.
Well, yeah, there's that thing in Deuteronomy and I think it's Romans where it says, the word is not above the heavens so that you cannot reach it, or below so that you cannot reach it, but it's in your heart. Basically, like. The solution isn't like this crazy complex, like it's right there.
It's very simple, folks.
And it's interesting when you talk about loving your neighbor, it's not just like anybody, but it's also the people you're not supposed to love. You know what I mean? Like the people you're supposed to be against, like those are the, which I think it doesn't matter. I think everybody in the village like has that as an ethos. Like I don't think that you necessarily have to be a Christian to have that as an ethos, to say, hey, we need to love each other and be good to each other and all that. Although, sometimes in the comment section when we start disagreeing with each other, I'm gonna start saying we need some whales to bail us out of this comment section. You guys are terrible sometimes. All right. So what do you think now? Are you less?
Yeah, I'm not frustrated anymore. I'm like, okay.
I basically think this is a combination of the Bible, the Enuma Elish, and Voltaire.
Yeah.
But what I will say that if my Voltaire theory is right, that he actually did something positive with Voltaire, which I'm not a fan of Voltaire, as you could tell from the other videos, but I think he did something positive with it. He took it a different direction. He didn't have a nihilistic understanding of the problem and the solution and the value of human beings. So.
Okay. I give it an 8.
What? Hold on. What did you think of the medal?
Oh, I liked it. Yeah, it was good. I feel like I was able to catch it.
Yeah, this one was
it
very
was
like
just easy to jump on.
yeah, you're able to jump on with the whale and like.
I loved the whale sounds put in there. I just thought that was just
Yeah.
really unique and
yeah.
I kind of forgot that whales sounded pretty like that.
Well,
again, I have such a negative view of whales. I'm like,
well, yeah.
I feel like they'd be like, bah, bah.
Yeah, I think the you know, a lot of these like progressive bands or whatever, like they try to be too cute, and just it doesn't work for me. Like I'll bring it back again. You know, Opeth. I just felt like they were trying to be too cute, and but I think that like this made sense. Like what they were doing. The aquatic stuff and all that, it made sense, and then it was just very, still very, it was very, very, very heavy.
But
it's extremely heavy.
This is good. This is good.
I could tell you, like you were like getting progressively angrier.
Yeah, I started getting annoyed because I'm like, what? Each time you like more words, I'm like, more words? What the fuck is happening with this whale? Like, why are we singing about whales and why are they flying? I'm like, somebody's high. That's what it is. Somebody's high. It's like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what it is. You can't explain this. I'm like, all right, Vin's gonna drop the knowledge. Look at that.
It's not necessarily. I mean, who knows if I mean, it's this.
Yeah, well, you brought some order to that chaotic song.
He could have been like, no, dude, it's about flying whales, and that's it.
Yeah. He's like, man, it was.
He could have been on a DMT trip. He could have been on a DMT trip, and then boom.
Well, you made sense out of it.
Well, I could say, well, that was in your subconscious, and that's why you saw flying whales in your DMT trip. All right, you get an 8?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8.
I go with an 8 too. I'll go with an 8 too. I thought it was heavy. I thought the lyrics like really, really made you ponder. And you know, with a band like this, it's the same thing I talked about with the other thing. With a band that's so heavy, it is so easy to miss out on the genius of the lyricism.
Yeah.
So.
I can see that.
Even the heaviest band in the universe was brilliant lyricism, but the riff was so fucking heavy that like it's almost impossible. Like unless you're doing this show, it's almost impossible to feel the weight of how brilliant the lyricism is. So these guys are a special group. They're special group. I mean, not a lot of complexity as far as the riff goes, but it's heavy and the message is heavy, and I don't know, like I think this album is like one of those albums where like we're probably gonna listen to all the album eventually as time goes on. And I just don't think that they're gonna be able to repeat this. I just think that this was a special moment of songwriting for them.
Maybe.
You know, Korn did it with their first record. Metallica did it with Master of Puppets.
When are we gonna hear that one, man? Everybody's asking. Oh, we can't tell you that. Wait and see.
Yeah, we're trying to do songs that not everybody. I mean, everybody does Master of Puppets. Everybody does one.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't heard them, so I want to hear them.
Yeah, so you know we'll balance them out. I didn't see a lot of Creeping Death reactions, so.
Yeah, I know that was a good one.
Die. All right, 8.
Yep.
8. Gojira. 8.
You know, that makes it so easy when we get the same thing because then we're like the averages.
We don't have to do the average. All right, I'm not very intelligent guy. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.